Things got fun this week. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show, the Demo Shop Mod Collection update of the world. We'll start with the mod collections. The first one on the USA side is a standard 50s in a gold blacktop finish. This thing's pretty sweet. Untraditional, but sweet. The fact that it's done at a slant rather than straight in the center gives it an interesting vibe. You've got all blacked out hardware with black pickup rings, but yet still have the gold pickup covers. Got the black plastic on the gold area, and then you got the gold knobs in the ebony area. This thing really just needs an ebony fretboard to complete the look. But they didn't stop there, they gave it a matching headstock, and here you can more clearly see a red dividing layer between the two colors. And if you go back to the body, you can see it does have it as well. And then as far as the back, no, you do not get the continuation of the design, but don't worry, there is a consolation prize on the back of the headstock. A half and half stinger, with the gold finish being the most prominent one for obvious reasons. Pretty cool for $3,100. But check out this 50 standard, it gives me John 5 vibes. It's like the inverse of the Ghost Telecaster in Les Paul format. So we've got red colored binding, straight up ebony finish everywhere, red pickup rings, uncovered pickups with a clear pick guard, clear knobs, still left it with chrome hardware, voodoo style poker chip. The headstock got oversprayed with red, changing the appearance of our Gibson logo. And even the neck binding was also painted over a blood red color. To be fair, whenever you look really close on a widowed effect guitar, which is the process of having color over your binding that you don't scrape off, in Gibson terms, it never looks the best. But I'm sure from a couple of feet away, this wouldn't look as amateur as it does. But nothing crazy going on with the back. I'm kind of surprised they sold that one as cheap as they did. Check out this Mahalo Yellow. I love this thing. I love it so much, I had to go and check the serial number to make sure that this wasn't an 80s model. But then I was shocked. Ooh, late 2022. Is this like some sort of a prototype? And the reason I say that is, yeah, it looks like a regular Les Paul Jr., right? You just don't have your pick guard over here. But what's really cool is, wow, we've got binding on that fretboard. Most Juniors don't have that. But you've got these additional comfort carves in the body, and Gibson actually did make a model like that in the late 80s. It's called the Junior Pro. Now, the cutaways are a little bit more exaggerated, and it's got some on this side. It also has the PRS-like swoop, and you have this weird pick guard going on. You've got the slim buckers, and most of them had this absolutely terrible KBX trem system by Steinberger. They threw an FRX Floyd Rose system on here, but just left it a regular P90 and gave it this nice yellow finish, maybe not as loud as the original, but I swear that's what they were going for here. The headstock, they threw one of those old-timey logos on it, and the back, they also gave a very light comfort cut to the edge and refinished everything in the same color as the top. Overall, I was just glad to see something different. They don't normally play with the contours of the body like that. Next up here is something I've always wanted to see, an Explorer given the Junior treatment. They call this one Metallic Midnight, so one could only assume it's kind of a metallic darkish blue to black finish, but I like this really metal looking pickguard. I appreciate the fact that they changed it, and it's a little bit pointier there. Then you just got a single dog ear P90. But would you look at that? Master volume, master tone, and then some sort of a button. And yep, that's exactly what I thought it was. It's a kill switch. As far as the rest of the guitar, doesn't seem like they changed too much. But this kind of helps show off the bluish hue that it might be in person. I feel they could bring this into production as long as it's like $1,800. Maybe give them maple necks for fun and satin finishes, if that helps them get the price down. And maybe only make it for a year, maybe 2 at most. And I think they could sell an alright amount of them. But if all these custom pickguards have been getting you excited, wait till you see this thing. Kind of reminds me of the Marauder that they had made that I bought to document, but this one's like even different. Started life as a Les Paul Special, because we've got the binding on there, but we have this custom swirly pickguard. I'm not sure if it's something or if they were just trying to be fancy, but then we have this strange additional pickguard over here. But what's really unique is the fact that they mounted the Bigsby so low. It'll give you some sympathetic vibrations since the strings are so long. But it's nice that they put the spoiler system on it for you to make restringing a lot easier. But interestingly enough, they're calling it a Vibramate unit. Now don't get confused, this looks like a traditional Bigsby B5 that is drilled into the top, but the Vibramate is referring to the spoiler system in this particular case. But here's what the back looks like, and they sold it for $2,500. This standard 50s gave me faux Ace Frehley vibes. It's got the finish. Yeah, it's not the exact same double cream pickups. Which, hey, by the way, big news. Gibson's actually selling double classic white pickups. Which, if you don't understand why that's a big thing, DiMarzio owns double cream pickups. So that's why it's not called double cream, it's double classic white. And I think that's how they're technically getting around this, but that is a big release. They're gonna sell a boatload of those. So what I'm saying here is, you could buy 3 of those and wire it up and make it it look like a Fraley that's just a standard instead of a custom, but you've got a Bigsby slapped on it, and they rewired it to be 3 volumes and a master tone. And it's got a very 70s looking 2-piece flame top to it. Next we've got this Thunderbird non-reverse bass. Where have we seen that before? In my 2022 April Fool's video, a viewer of the show had created this Leon Wilkeson signature Lynyrd Skynyrd bass, because apparently he has one like this that's all done up in this Skyburst refinish. And I just recently mentioned it as a custom color I would like on my Johnny Winter Firebird, since it was having some finish issues that we talked about in this episode. Now it could be that some guy just thought, hey, Blue Burst is gonna look good on that, but maybe they watched the show and they're like, all right, let's make this happen. Because it's just a cool finish. It's not exactly the same, but it's pretty close. So it could be a tribute if somebody did want that Leon model to be real. Ooh, interesting back. So they only bursted the body but left the neck alone as the solid metallic blue. But that's kind of cool how the back of the headstock is this dark blue, and then the face of the headstock is more of the original Pelham blue. So, okay, this makes a lot of sense now. They just sprayed a blue border along one of the original Pelham blue ones. And then next, this 70s Flying V got a slime green finish that they just called green screen. Doesn't look like they changed much outside of the finish, but hey, it's cool because now we can change it to whatever color we want it to be. Same thing is true on the back. It's straight up green, but we can make it whatever we want it to be. Even fuzzy bear fur. But that's another one that sold at $2,900. We had a Sunburst Metallic Satin. Looks like it started life as one of those 50s P90 gold tops, and they just added the red and black to kind of make it the tri-burst finish. Didn't do anything to the back. Then there was a classic in a translucent cherry sparkle. It's actually really cool. I have an original one of these from 1980 that we documented on the show in my personal collection. It was a real finish they used very briefly in the early 80s. Or basically they just put some sparkles over top of a regular wine red guitar. Outside of rarity, I mean, it's not the coolest thing in the world, but it's the same thing with the L6 Midnight Special guitars that we've also documented, so that's pretty cool. But hey, we missed our pickups. It's got some sort of a perloid topper with a regular ring only around the edges. But I'm curious, is it only the top that they did that to? From this photo, it looks like they did the whole guitar. The problem with this one and why it probably hasn't sold yet is because people don't realize why it's special. They didn't click on it. I didn't even realize it was special. I just thought it was a Cherry Classic at a huge premium. But then they had Beach Activity Blue 50 Standard. We've been seeing that finish a lot lately with its natural back and sides, but it's been selling. Then lastly, Whisper Berry Satin, $2,100 to 61 reissue SG. From this photo, it doesn't really look different. From this one, it looks like maybe it has the white border to it that we've seen before. Maybe it's got a light sparkle. I don't know. Photos don't do this one justice. They need some of those beautiful B-roll shots. And now as far as the UK mod collection, here's what I saw. They dropped Extreme Alpine Magic SG bass. Looks like they put some HP knobs on it, changed up our pickups a bit. And honestly, it just looks like one of those Motobo Wataru signatures as far as the sparkly white finish. We saw the release of the Space Rust 57 Les Paul Special. We saw this one in their release video. It almost looks like it's using up old robot parts over here. But you've got your Toaster Pastry P90s and your Gibson Vibrola plate, but it's just mounted like an EDS 1275. Kind of a cool rusty finish with white back plates and upgraded tuners. We've got a metallic blue flower over here of a 61 SG. That looks pretty nice. It's got a matching back and sides. Then to lesser fanfare, a purple Satin Burst 335 figured. It's a very subtle purple burst. I remember seeing this once before, but I can't remember where. I really like it, but it appears the EU mod collection is using a slightly more blue saturated filter to their photos rather than the USA side. In fact, it looks like the exact same place. So I'm wondering if they actually are finishing them in the USA and then shipping them off to the European market. But my friends, easily the coolest one that we didn't see in the teaser shots is this 57 Custom Heavy Aged. They wore through so you can see the mahogany top here and down there. It looks pretty good for a non-Murphy Labs type thing. It's very Peter Frampton with the cream plastics. So we have non-pole piece exposed humbuckers, which gives it an interesting look. And then they got a little bit too crazy on the back, but okay, they were having fun. And then who knows, maybe this did start as a Murphy Lab, because that's kind of what their finish checking looked like. But I thought that was a good one. If I missed something, feel free to email me a photo of it. We can cover it next week. But now we need to start our demo shop tours. And we'll start things off with the USA side, a whole bunch of players models. But as far as special things that stood out, I saw there was a left-handed SG Standard, $1,300. Did not seem too bad for one of those. I like the top on this 60 Standard. You can just tell by looking at this one, it is going to have extreme movement in person. It like reminds me of sand. So it might not be all that visually impressive from a photo, but trust me, you're gonna like that thing in person. There was an interesting 70s Flying V that kind of went with the Explorer, except for it wasn't juniorified, it was just metal pickguardified, giving some Judas Priest vibes with that. Ah, cool. They did the headstock as well, using up the old Gibson high performance truss rod covers. That's funny to have the HP branding on that, because that was made well after the discontinuation of the HP series. But what is this? Babbitt's 3-point bridge as a modification. I think that was supposed to go on some sort of a base listing. Next up, there's another Kirk Hammett Greenie. Seems we get at least one of these per week. This one wasn't quite as pretty as last time, but you are getting a discount. And another Matobo Wataru non-modified, just marked as a demo base. We've seen these a few weeks now. They're basically just a really sparkly white finish. They were a Japan market exclusive, but since this one has a chip in the finish down there, it was marked as a demo. Looks like it got one over here as well. And now, European side of things, they had a few more listings this week, such as the 61 SG Standard. I thought it had nice wood grain. I didn't even realize they made 50s gold tops, so that's something you could look forward to if you're in the EU market and are a lefty. Same thing true with an LP Special in TV yellow, left-handed. This 50s P90 photo made me question, are we seeing the wood grain underneath this finish? Did it dip down, or is that paint runs, or is it reflecting something in the room? Because it almost looks like ash body wood grain, but it'd probably be more so like a very wavy maple if that is indeed lacquer sink. But then when you get to this photo angle, you don't see it as much, but maybe you do a little bit. That might be one somebody has to buy just to see, is it that cool in person? This was an explosive top for a standard 60s. The back was pretty standard though. And they had a couple more of these KRK things they're still trying to get rid of. And now the UK demo shop. Their most interesting one was a modified Honeyburst Les Paul Classic. It changed up our pickups. No exposed pole pieces, you don't have a poker chip. It just has a really nice top in general. I think that's why it truly sold. And on top of that, fantastic deal at $1,800. This 50s Faded had kind of an interesting top. If you're going for explosive flame tops, you probably wouldn't want this one, but if you just want some unique character, it's got that in spades. And then lastly, a Gibson HP 835 Supreme. I don't know a lot about acoustics, but this one's got some interesting inlays as far as an abalone rosette. And look at this, it's the split parallelogram, but only one of them, but it has two different looking layers of mother of pearl. And then the 12th one has a double version of that, what we're used to seeing. But I wanted to share this because I just love the headstock. If we used to be able to do this on acoustics, why can't we bring it back to Les Pauls? It makes them look so fancy. But if they brought it back onto everything, it would make things like the Les Paul less special. But it's just such a cool look, and I love that wooden truss rod cover that they've got on this model. But this one was made in 2017, but has a 2016 serial number. What's that all about? In that Henry J era, guitars were like cars. The 2017 models came out like 3/4 of the way through the year, so it's not an error. That's just how they are. All right, Troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed the tour. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will catch you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, consider subscribing. I post videos like this every day, and you might even enjoy this next one.